Good morning, Sully. How are you today?
McGarry taking a little veiled shot at yourself and Tribble over there for being a little bit of homer to the Olympic and the Burlco teams.
Oh, is that why my time has been taken this morning? I failed to listen to McGarry this morning. I had a few things I was doing around the house, and I did not hear him.
Well, we were talking about the high school softball and how the Cape Atlantic League won 4 out of the 6 championships for South Jersey, and he was saying, hey, the Cal doesn't always get the respect it deserves. Kind of mentioning in a veiled sort of way that you boys over there in the Cherry Hill area don't give the props to the Cal teams.
Oh Lord, he's got some nerve if that's exactly what he did. Because in other years, if the teams up in the Tri-County or the Burlco or Olympic, dominated the scene, we wouldn't have said, given a shot at McGarry for his Cal teams. So he owes us for that. To me, it doesn't matter who. I don't care what league you're from. That's if you're the best, you're the best. And
yep.
This particular, this year in softball, I guess I don't follow softball as much as everybody else does, but if 4 Cal teams out of the 6, are playing in the Tournament of Champions, that's great for not only for the Cal but for South Jersey. So, that's fine with me. I have no allegiance to any particular conference or league. So, if you're the best, you're the best. What are you going to do?
Kevin, what's been your take on the high school baseball playoffs so far? I mean, when you look at that South Jersey Group 4, we talked about it for a couple weeks in a row, how tough that section was going to be, and I don't think anybody saw Southern coming out on top of that one.
No, and we've talked about it, and I told you, seedings to me really didn't matter after the the matchups were all made. That this Group 4 was wide open, and it certainly proved to be the case. Southern obviously. Southern was an 11 seed, so at the cutoff with the PowerPoints and everything, that's they settle in the second half of the group. But it's baseball, and many coaches have told me, and that's kind of their answer. You say, how'd Southern get to the final? How'd Southern win this? Well, you know what? Sometimes that's just the way baseball is, and if you can have one big inning and you can hold on, and a couple things go your way here or there, and next thing you know, you could be the bottom of the barrel team and playing yourself for a title. So, Southern obviously put it together, played a handful of relatively close games, to get to the final, and then beat a very good Lenape team. So, I think in Group 4 this year, especially out of any of the sections, I think Group 4 was most balanced from top to bottom, and like I said, I'm not surprised in that the top seed didn't win. I'm not surprised that a middle seed didn't win, because this group was just loaded with very, very good teams. And like I said, you catch a team on a slightly off day, and you win a ball game. So, like I said, this is a tournament, and some things can happen here or there, and congratulations for Southern for getting it done.
And when you look at this bracket, Kevin, only a real low handful of blowouts. I mean, Eastern over Atlantic City in the opening round, Egg Harbor over Clearview, 15-6. But for the most part, you're looking at scores of 1-0, 4-0, 5-3, 3-2. So this, like you said, this was going to come down to who made the big plays at the right time and was able to hold on to a lead late.
Absolutely. I think, just glancing at it, there may have been 9 games that were decided by 4 runs or less, and even a few more that were tighter than that. So, it's a matter of getting, potentially getting up early, gaining some momentum and holding on, and coaches using their pitchers, methodically to get the job done.
And, Kevin, how about this Highland team in South Jersey Group 3? Highland beats Deptford 6-4. And I thought last year when they lost Ocean City, I was thinking to myself, this team's a year away. They're going to really challenge for that sectional title. a year from now, and they beat a very good Lacey team in the semis. Then they take down Deptford in the finals. So great job by Highland. Was that kind of what you expected, that team to make a run into the finals?
When the tournament started, Highland was, I looked at it and I had Highland getting to the final. And the thing with Highland is, last year they go down to Ocean City, and clearly Ocean City last year was one of the best teams. It may have been, I'm guessing, the best team Ocean City High School had maybe ever had, or clearly among the best that it's ever had. And, they ran into a team that was just loaded last year. But the thing with the Highland team this year was that they lost 10 seniors off of that team from last year.
Wow.
So this team this year was relatively young. It does have a couple of seniors, especially on the pitching staff, and we saw two of them yesterday, combined for the win with Anthony Maselli and Nick Yoder. But for the most part, that Highland team is really young. They've got a freshman shortstop. They've got a sophomore second baseman, I believe. They got some sophomores in the outfield. A junior, I believe, at third base. So they're still a relatively young team when you look at it that way. But Highland, they didn't blow anybody out in the tournament. They win their games 3-0, 4-3, 5-2, and 6-4. But they were able to find ways to score runs and get the W. And I think, we may have talked about this in the past, and that, I think baseball nowadays is grades are almost irrelevant. People talk about it being a young team. Well, right now, these freshmen and sophomores, they're not freshmen and sophomores.
They're
more
ready,
like sophomores and juniors, and they're ready. And most of these kids that come into high school baseball now are coming in at a much stronger level and a much more experienced kids than freshmen and sophomores were, say, 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, they're playing 60, 70 games in the off season. I mean, when I was in high school, you played like 15 in the summer. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, these kids are playing games. They're playing games. They'll go into a Legion schedule now or an AAU circuit, and they'll play in the summer. They'll play fall leagues. They'll go inside in the winter time, so that when the spring rolls around, not only are they already ready to play, but they've already experienced a lot of big games and played in so many games that I think, age might be irrelevant. And, from time to time you might run into a team that's got maybe a senior pitcher on the mound who's 6'2", 6'3", 210, and maybe physically a little bit bigger than some other kids, and maybe that will give them a little bit of an edge. But I think right now in high school baseball, you've got a tremendous amount of underclassmen who have put seniors on the bench, in all honesty, and grade at this point doesn't really matter. Like I said, coaches will say we're a young team, and that may be true on paper, but when you get on the field, these kids are experienced enough that I think age really doesn't play into it, and obviously we're seeing that across the board.
That's a great point. I mean, some of these kids might be coming in as freshmen and already have 100 at bats against high school level competition from their AAU schedule.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I'm not a big advocate of a big fan of specializing in sports. I think once you get to high school, you should kind of take advantage of an opportunities to do a lot of different things. But there are those kids out there who are zoning in on one sport, and then some of them have zoned in on baseball, and they're playing baseball 24/7 in essence. So when they get to these games and they take the field, they don't look across the diamond and look at a kid and see him being 6 inches taller and 50 pounds heavier and become intimidated. They're prepared for it, and it's obviously it's showing in the level in the talent level across South Jersey, and some of South Jersey's best players are underclassmen. So I think it's a trend that's going to continue. I don't think we're going to go backwards with it, and I think it just helps to make for really a lot more competitive games.
Hey, Kevin, I was out at Brooklawn yesterday watching Holy Spirit and Gloucester Catholic, and man, Gloucester Catholic, that's a good team. that Lilo Paxia kid, he launched one off the church out there in left field.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've experienced many games in Brooklawn or not, but the Rams get at it. They get at it anywhere, but especially at home. And And if Lilo hit one off the church, then he hit a pretty good shot. And he's another one of these underclassmen that we're talking about. Here's a kid who's a sophomore outfielder who came into Gloucester Catholic highly touted. And I remember watching a YouTube video of him when he was, I believe, in the 8th grade, participating, hitting batting practice down in Marlins Park and just hitting bombs, into center field, into left center at Marlins Park. Using, I can't remember whether he was using an aluminum bat or not, but here's a kid who's got a lot of power, and he's a very good baseball player, and he would be a quote unquote star on probably any other most teams in South Jersey. But at Gloucester Catholic, that's they've got a lot of kids like him, and he kind of fits. He fits right in. He's got his role, and maybe we haven't heard a lot about Lilo Paxia this year because of everyone around him and the fact that Gloucester Catholic is that strong. But that's a kid to keep an eye on because he's got some power. He plays a very good right field, and he's pretty quick on the bases. So he's a kid. Like I said, keep an eye on him. And like I said, the Rams. They're always going to come ready to play. I thought they would clearly be the team to beat in B this year, and so far so good. Yeah,
and Brandon Bean hit a bomb that ended up rolling all the way to home plate in the softball field. took about 5 cutoff guys to get the ball in.
Yeah, that's the thing at Gloucester Catholic. I did not see a game at at their field this year, but I believe that there still is no fence out there, so you got to leg them all out. And Brendan's another kid who's a very talented kid going to Penn, and Gloucester Catholic year in and year out gets good kids. The coaching staff does a nice job of putting them together, maximizing their talents, and obviously working towards a common goal. So I'm not surprised in that Gloucester Catholic continues to beat some pretty good teams. Obviously St. Augustine has their number this year and has won the last 3 times against them, but in B itself, Gloucester Catholic, I don't see a way for them to lose.
Kevin, real quick before we let you go, give us your take on Tuesday's matchup between Bishop Eustace and St. Augustine. That's a heck of a South Jersey final. Yeah,
it's a shame that this game has to be played at Ryder. Everybody's going to have to get on. Here's where this is another one of these perfect situations that I've always had a little bit of an issue with the NJSIA about. That I think while I understand that you need to set up facilities ahead of time to host these games, that I think you need to have an alternative plan. And in the same way with different sports, that you talk about wanting to save money, you talk about wanting to get kids home early, you talk about wanting to have enough fan support, and here you have 2 teams that would a game further south than Bishop Eustace, potentially a game that could be played at Washington Township, a game that could be played maybe at Clearview, something along those lines. And these kids are going to have to get on buses and drive up the Ryder, which is going to be, for Bishop Eustace, probably about an hour. For St. Augustine, probably about an hour and maybe 40 minutes, hour 45. And you're asking all the people to go out and support these teams and go up to that game. That's where I have a little bit of an issue, because I really think there's got to be a way to have a contingency plan.
Right.
But on the flip side, a tremendous that's going to be I think that's going to be a tremendous matchup. A matchup that I think a lot of people pointed to when the brackets came out as being the game. And I give both teams an equal opportunity to win. They're both playing very well. They both have extremely talented players across the board. I think St. Augustine may have a little bit of an edge. I think they've put things together a little bit better than Bishop Eustace throughout the season. But Eustace has played an extremely difficult schedule in the Olympic Conference. Their crossover games against some Olympic American teams, sets them up to be a battle-tested team. And St. Augustine's had their few battles. Like I said, 2 wins over Gloucester Catholic. So, obviously the team that wins that game is going to be a very, very solid South Jersey champion and represent, our region come the state final.
Good stuff. As always, Kevin, we'll catch up with you next week and talk some state championship baseball.
All right, sounds good, Sully.
Have a good weekend, bud.
All right, you too. Thanks a lot.
That was Kevin Minnick, South Jersey baseball expert.